So welcome everyone. So good to see all of you, and it's so good to be back together again. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. And are you seeing my screen clearly? Yes, perfect. So welcome back. We're really happy to be back together with all of you, and we're really looking forward to continuing the trainings. And today we're going to focus on strategizing, how to win, because we all want to win, right? Oh yeah. And so to start, I'd like to pass it over to Dawn Miracle, and Dawn is going to do our land acknowledgement. Thank you, Dawn.
Hello, everybody. Happy to see you all again. It seems like ages since we've seen you all. So we're happy to be back here again and to have you all here. And I just want to start us all off in a good way once again. So I'm going to ask you all, I don't know what kind of day you've had, but I'm going to ask you to put your feet on the ground or your hands on the desk or your arms on the armrest. I'm going to ask you to take some nice deep breaths. So in through your nose, out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. 2 more times. Slower. Out through your mouth. Now again, in and out. It's time to go nice and deep and out. Again, because most of us are in Toronto, I'm going to share the land acknowledgement for Toronto. But again, think about the land and territories that you're on if you're calling in from someplace other than Toronto. And I do encourage you again to add that to the chat as well too, because we want to honor the lands that all of you are on as well tonight too. So Toronto is on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee or Six Nations and Haudenosaunee speaking nations, including the Huron-Wendat, Peyton, Seneca, and Mohawk, and was more recently joined by the Mississaugas of the Credit. This territory is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which is an agreement between the Haudenosaunee or Six Nations Confederacy and the Anishinaabe or Ojibwe allied nations, so that we could peaceably share and care for the lands and the relationships around the Great Lakes. And so this is so that other nations, as they came through our territories, would know expectations and values to conduct themselves with, but that we would allow them to peaceably come through our territories. And what this means is that by living and working here, that each and every one of us have a responsibility to the environment and to each other, to treat each other with peace and friendship and respect, to honor the environment, the land, the air, the water, because if we want an environment there for the coming phases, that we have a responsibility to treat it well so that there'll be something left there for the next 7 generations. And so with that being said, I'll hand it back with a good mind, with good thoughts. I hope that we can all come together tonight and do some good work together. So Nyamakoa, a big thank you.
Thank you, Amrit. I just had to find my unmute button. Adjusting to Zoom. Thank you for starting us off in that good way with a very thoughtful land acknowledgement. That's very much appreciated, Dawn. And I see I'm wearing my orange shirt today. We acknowledged Orange Shirt Day in the class that I taught today at Humber College, because we won't see them next week. And I see I saw other orange shirts. So, you know, it's an important time to be thoughtful and reflecting on, you know, the history of Indigenous people and the land that we're on. Okay, so our agenda, you know, we like to know what to expect. I want to say that I'm getting us started off, but Olivia Chow will be joining us. She's going to do the main lecture on strategy. So we've got a strategy example to share with you. We'll go through 6 big questions that we all have to ask ourselves when organizing and when thinking strategically. We'll think about our people. What is the problem? What are we trying to address? What's the goal? And then we'll get into, the main theory of change lecture. We'll of course give you a break. We'll come out, do breakout groups and sharing. So similar format to what we're used to, but we need a refresher because we've been apart from each other for a little while. So to bring us back together and back on track, we'll start with an icebreaker. Amrit will put us into breakout groups, and we want you to talk about what was your most significant learning on recruitment. So the last training that we did was on recruitment. You had wonderful breakout groups where you practiced one-on-one meetings and recruitment. And we want to know, were you able to recruit anyone? Were you able to put those learnings and those skills into practice? So I think we have 3 minutes for the breakout group. Yes, I see Amrit nodding. Awesome. So enjoy.
Got it. Okay, everybody's back. Hey, turn on your camera. Hey, Felicia is here. Haven't seen you for a while. Dawn, oh wow. Our team, yay. So folks have, you had a conference, you had a bit of a beginning of September. We are now connecting again. It is absolutely wonderful. I want to say hello to all of you again, and it's been a little while. Lindsay and I will co-teach and support each other tonight, and I believe you did a lot of work on your narrative and the story. So in the past, Lindsay had us focusing on our heart. Who are we? Why do we want equality? Why do we want gender-based violence to end? What motivates us? What are the challenges we face in our life that taught us what our strength is and where is the hope? Can we connect with that hope? And where is that hope that could continue to drive us in our journey to make positive change? And we talked about how the heart moves us to take action. Without the heart, without touching each other, connecting, bonding with a core value, we cannot go forward. But we can have all hearts. But if our strategy is wrong, if we don't use our brain, we're not going to get very far. Okay. So tonight, we are going to focus on logic, on understanding strategy. And it's all about logic. It's about our intellect. Okay. So, but do not forget that piece that are about using our heart. Now, last week I was at Algonquin Park and I went hiking and canoeing. I need to get back to my campsite. This is me, Olivia, looking very confused. And the campsite is called Ashway Campsite. I could hike through a bunch of forest and I get lost very easily. I'm not the best hiker. I have a bad back. And it takes a long time. Okay. So do I hike over and that takes 2 days to get back? Or do I go and get a canoe and go from where I was at on a river called Grand Lake and go into the river, get back to the campsite. This is a shorter route, but what if it is raining or it gets windy? I'll fall off the canoe and drown or freeze to death or have hypothermia. So in order for me to figure this out, and how many of you hike or canoe? Anyone want to help me out? Who likes to do that kind of thing? Oh yeah. Okay, Wendy. Wendy, you like to do this kind of thing. Help me out, Wendy. Uh, so what would you consider? Should I hike or should I take the water route? What would be some of these? What would be my strategy? What would I consider in order to decide on which route to take?
I think for me, one of the first things would be is how important is it to you to get to X and under how much time? Like how much time do you
Okay.
have to get to X?
I have
How
2 days.
important is it? Is it life and death or is it?
Nope. I won't.
Okay.
I won't starve to death. I may need some water, but it could be 2 days. It could be I could take the longer route, or I could take the risk. Okay. What else would I consider?
Your physical stamina.
Okay, well, they're both canoeing and hiking. Hiking might take a bit more work. Okay, right?
Can I say
So-
something?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. So this is Sumera. I just want to add, it also depends on your own choice. Like you wanna like walk in the woods, or you just more like water, because this is kind of a recreational trip, I believe. And then it depends on you which you enjoy the most, right? So the thing you enjoy the most, you can still take risks if it gives you more like pleasure or serves your purpose,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
on top of it, the resources you have to plan based on them, because you can just choose a route, right? And just say, okay, if you don't have a canoe, if you don't have a like paddle or something, but you are planning to go in water, if you don't have a life jacket and you are taking that route, so that's not advisable, right? So it's the main factor is your resources, what you have, and in case of any emergency, how your abilities to cope with that. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Perfect. You know, sometimes we rush out and go and buy a pair of hiking boots when we decide to take the canoe. But we may actually said, okay, we're going to take the canoe. We forgot to rent the canoe. We don't have a canoe. If it turns out that I get lost really easily, I have a bad back, I really shouldn't hike for 2 days and carry a big knapsack behind me. Maybe I have this big stove. I don't have a small stove. I can't carry that big knapsack for 2 days. I can't do it. But often when we do a campaign, we go out and get a petition, we get a rally going, we get letter writing campaign. Hang on a second. Those are tactics. It's like getting the canoe. It's like getting the life jacket. It's like getting the paddle before we decide we're going to take the water route, before we take the canoe route. So that's often what we do. Deciding that we're going to take the river or the Grand Lake, that is the strategy. Or that we would hike. That's the strategy. You need to determine the strategy first. That's what we're going to do today. Then you go and get a canoe and get the boats and all of that stuff, right? Okay, that's the tactics. And don't fall in the trap of doing something familiar. We've always do a petition. Well, is it the best tactics? We would examine that. Okay, so to start, 6 big questions. Who are our people? Muslim women. How many? Okay. What is the problem? We know the problem. right? Gender-based violence, Islamophobia. What is our goal? Well, it depends on which group we're looking at. One of the goals could be that we want to have CBSA have an oversight committee so that you would not be discriminated while you're crossing the border or going on a flight because of your last name or how you dress, for example, or that it should be a hate crime if someone based on hate target a Muslim woman, or that gender-based violence would have a good strategy and that you would get the Imam Council to say what needs to be said. So the theory of change is what we're going to focus on today. Okay. What is the theory of change? Okay. I'm going to use an example, which I know Lindsay know well. Okay. I'm going to share this video. Emran, I'm wondering whether you can share the video because you may have slightly better internet access than I do. If you could share that. And then while you're watching the video, think about what is their theory of change. Okay. A theory of change really is you think about what is their goal. Okay. And what is their goal and how are they thinking about how do they plan to go about doing it? Okay. Go for it, Emma.
My name is Lisa Johnston, and I'm a proud and passionate registered early childhood educator.
So my name is Carolyn Ferns, and I'm the policy coordinator at the Ontario Coalition for Better Childcare. It's ECE Appreciation Day today. We wanted to sort of raise the issue of decent work for early childhood educators. So we've come to Toronto City Hall to challenge city councillors to come and take the Early Childhood Educator Challenge so that they can see what it's like to try to be an ECE for a day, to learn the challenges that we go through and how underappreciated and undervalued our work is.
This team grew out of the Building Skills for Change workshop that I took in 2017 in partnership with the Association of Early Childhood Educators Ontario. And they were doing these workshops all over the province actually to build a movement of early childhood educators and building their power. Right? Because we feel so dejected, we feel so isolated in our own centers.
So we worked together to try to raise the voice of ECEs because we realized that on the issue of childcare, the people we should be listening to most are those who are doing the work every day, early childhood educators. So we trained early childhood educators to tell their personal stories, and we set up local groups like Early Years Professionals Rise Up TO, which put on this event. To help them tell their stories, to help them, raise their voice for early learning and childcare.
Educators are busy people, they're stressed out people. We have a small team, but we have a really mighty team. They really want to see change, and I think it helps them when they go back to their centers as well to encourage the people that they work with that there is hope and that we do have a voice.
The challenge before us is big, right? We know what the province needs to do, and so we're going to keep, advocating for that. For a real childcare system that has affordable fees for parents and decent work for educators and enough spaces for all the kids that need them, and we'll just keep pushing ahead.
Thank you. Actually, I don't know whether you saw the ending. They said it started with they won $2 more for the wages. Okay, that was the first win, and then they said, well, the childcare center parents can't pay more money. Where is the money coming from? Well, let's go after the provincial government. The provincial government don't have a lot of money either. Let's go to the federal government. That's where they have the money. Oh, they're going to have an election in a year's time. Let's go and push them. That's when the childcare workers then really, really got together. And Lindsay, you were behind that big campaign. Tell us how did it all work out? What was the mountaintop goal, which I'm going to share right now? What was the key goal that they were trying to get first? Okay, and when you see that, think about what your goal is going to be. Okay, tell me what is the goal that they had.
Yeah, I would love to. And I don't know if I'd say I was behind the campaign. I was part of it. Lots and lots of people were part of and are still part of the childcare advocacy movement. And our mountaintop goal today is the same mountaintop goal that it was in the 1960s, which is a publicly funded, high quality, affordable, nonprofit childcare system from coast to coast to coast, right? So we want
Okay.
universal childcare system in Canada. That is the ultimate mountaintop goal. And there are many, many nested goals that we need to win before we can get there. And in the video, you heard Lisa say, first, we wanted to raise the voice of ECEs. We wanted to empower ECEs. That was one of our first nested goals. And we did that by trainings and building communities of care where early childhood educators could come together and connect and empower each other and learn. And then we wanted to use our empowered voices to call for better wages, decent work for early childhood educators. And in calling for decent work, we also have to call for affordability, because in a market-based system of care, which is what we have now, the wages that ECEs make are tied to parent fees, and that doesn't work. We need an interjection of public money. And so to address the better wages and the affordable fees, we needed to focus our efforts on the federal government and advocating for a big amount of funding, legislation to enshrine a publicly funded childcare system into federal government. There's a lot, I'm throwing a lot out here. Sorry to the scribe. And so that's kind of how we got to where we are now. In 2021, the federal government made a promise to build a Canada-wide early learning and childcare system, which was a huge win. And they backed that promise with $30 billion.
$30 billion, good Lord.
$30 billion, which is a lot of money, more than enough money to address decent work for educators and also fees for parents. And we're still, I mean, we celebrated, but we are still working very, very hard to make sure that our provincial government here in Ontario makes the right calls so that we have, so that we build a quality system from the beginning. That's where we're at.
Yeah, to cooperate. Okay, so what you see here is not just one goal. Ending gender-based violence may be one top goal. What are the smaller goals you want? Okay, and then what is the theory of change? What is a theory of change? I'll come back to this. Okay. A theory of change is really about logic. If we take the river route, I will then get home get to my campsite in one day because it's faster and I am a good canoeist and I'm horrible at hiking. Okay. All right. That's my strategy. That's my theory of change. If I do this, then I will reach the goal because the assumption is I'm good at on water, not walking. Okay. So, but it challenges your assumption. Is this a good theory of change? Okay, some of you may smile. Who wants to tell me whether this is a good theory of change. Anyone? Can I pick on someone? Nina, you have this smile on your face. You are shaking your head. Why
No,
isn't
no,
this a good theory of change?
no,
Look at the man. He looks so much in
no,
love. Oh
no,
God, why? Why?
because this is no, you don't have someone fall in love with you like that because you're persistent and a pest. No, it's not charming. It's not romantic. It is creepy. Tell them to find a new tactic, a new strategy.
This is a bad theory of change because the assumption is wrong.
Yes,
And
exactly.
some of us may call this stalking. Okay. Bad assumption. All right, let's take this one. If we educate people, then we can stop climate change because knowledge leads to action. 97% believe that there's climate change. All right, who wants to tackle this one? I know some of you are on environmental campaign. Who can I pick on? Anyone? Volunteer yourself. I know there's environmentalists among us. Come on, let's do this. Is this a good theory of change? Tell me whether it's yes or no.
Yeah,
Suggest.
I can
Yeah.
speak to that.
Okay, go for it. Sure.
Yeah, so
Charlene.
every Saturday morning from 11 till 1, we go and stand on the corner of this forest that's near my house, where they want to cut it down and build condominiums so that, I mean, there's very little green space around. So we're campaigning and we're standing with placards that forests make us happy and forests are important. So we educate people. We have leaflets. The cars stop at the intersection, and we hand over the leaflets, and we educate people. So they're all interested, and then we have a website where they go and they lobby the MPPs and
Okay.
try to create change.
Shahina, what I'm hearing, you don't just educate. You want them to do something.
Yeah, act
right?
upon.
So this one just basically said, if we give them the awareness, if we say gender-based violence is bad, it's horrible. Here's the reason why. Then we will stop gender-based violence because knowledge leads to action. Is that true that knowledge leads to action? Now you're out there with a sign, you're directing them to take action. You're not just educating, okay? But if I just raise awareness about Islamophobia hurts all of us, does that mean that it would stop? Is it one step, or is it, Nusad, I saw you sort of having an expression in your face.
No,
what do you think?
So I don't think that's enough. Because one of the things that Shaheen talked about in her example was that they want to save that forested area, and it is to educate, but they also encourage people to take further action, because without those tactics or strategies, you cannot really achieve your goal. So I think the because part, or the assumption, is that if you motivate those people, then perhaps you will get to your goal. But without that, it's impossible to do. Just having a wonderful goal, a laudable goal, doesn't get you there. You have to know what you're doing along the way to get there.
Absolutely. Because bang on. If people know, then they will act, because knowledge leads to action. That is a wrong assumption. Okay. If we just think that is the case, we will not win. Ashia, you have your hands up. Yeah, come in on this one. You think this is obviously enough? Yeah.
sorry, I'm with my dad. I just wanted to say, knowledge does not lead to action, because if it did, my teenage boy would start cleaning his room, because I have been telling him that this needs to be cleaned for hygiene purposes, and this is not good. But what I did do is that I told him he is going to get interested in girls soon, and the girls might want to be seeing a very clean boy in very clean rooms. Guess what? That's the motivation. Knowledge with some burning platform for change is what leads to change.
Excellent. You find the person's vulnerability. So it's a stick and a carrot approach. The carrot is, I get an extra night out with a girl. Oh, okay, that's the stick approach is, if you don't do this, you're gonna get your allowance deducted. Whoops. Okay, so it's the vulnerability and you want them to know that they have some resources to give to you. You have some resources that can give to them that they want. They want the girl to have someone that is clean. You got right into what they want, what your teenage son wants, and it's perfect. That is a perfect theory of change. Okay, good illustration. Shaheen, give me another example of a good theory of change.
Oh, yeah, so what happened was that when we lobbied the council members of the city and all that, we got a stay order. So now we have a stay order that they will not cut down the forest, but then the organization that owns that land is upset with us. So they're doing their best, and they've cordoned off the forest, that we cannot go inside the forest. Because what we used to do, we used to call the council members and take them for a walk inside the forest to show them that so much of the environment depends on this forest. So yeah, education does lead to action, and not just their action, our action too. We need to act, we need to educate.
Yeah, but what I'm hearing too is those counselors need you for something in October 24th. Okay, those counselors need their jobs back. And if they come and say to you, we will protect your forest, they will get their job back. That's their vulnerability. October 24th is not that far away. If they don't give that promise, maybe there's other counselor candidates that would make that promise. Aha, you're locating power. You're understanding.
That's exactly what happened. Actually, our council elections, and so we removed the mayor literally who was for cutting down the forest, and now we have a mayor that is for preserving the forest. So we won actually.
Hang on. Okay, so your theory of change is this. Oh, sorry. If we can flex our political muscle and show that we could bring in someone that respect us and protect our forest, then our forest will be protected, because guess what? We have the power, we have the voting power to bring in someone that believes in the same value and act the way we want. Okay, that's a good theory of change. If you just do a awareness, then we will get somewhere. Knowledge does not lead to action. Here's a good one. Is the word too small? I hate this big circle beside us. It's just ticks. It looks nice, but you know what? It doesn't give us any room. If African American refused to ride the bus, this is Rosa Parks. She decided to get on the bus and won't move to the back. Guess what? They won't take the bus. Why? Because 3/4 of the riders are African American, and if they don't participate, it means that the bus system won't get their money. That's how they ended racial segregation on public transit. Rosa Parks not just one Rosa Parks. She started it, won't stay in the back of the bus. People rally behind her and organize to say, we'll carpool, we'll walk, we will drive, we will bicycle, we will do everything. We will stop taking the bus. That is a good theory of change because they figured out who has the power. The bus folks, what do they want? They want our money. What do we have? We have money. We actually collectively have the economic power to bring them down to their knees. And that's exactly what happened. And that is a good theory of change. Oh, sorry, I should go the other way. And why theory of change? It exposed weak assumptions, forced really tough conversations. And I know that, oh, okay. Back to Lindsay. Lindsay, you had a theory of change. Is this a good one? Tell me, how did that work? An example. Or
This
you want, maybe
Yeah.
we should skip it, huh? Because
Yeah,
everybody got it already. You know,
I
we
think
don't even
so.
need to. Yeah, everybody already know it. This is the organizing statement of each of your group. Okay. In Anand cannot be here, but Dawn is here, Lindsay is here, and Felicia is here. Emred is stepping in, and I'm here. So I will join one of the group. I think I will join this one. So I want you to think of what is your group's theory of change, okay? And before you do that, let me summarize. What do my people want? What is our goal? Who has the resources to enable us to get what we want? Is it a government? Is it a religious figure? Is it, who is it? What does the person want or people? What resources do we have that they need? In the case of Shaheen, they needed your vote, okay? In the case of other campaigns, right? They're all different. It depends on who you're targeting. And this is probably the, what is this? We define power as how strong your relationship are with each other. What you saw, what Lindsay McDonald and the early childhood educators did, they started with 3 or 4 people. And some old fogey like me that have long been for 30, 40 years pushing for a national child care program and got nowhere. Okay. And they thought, okay, we need to build our strength. We need to build and build and build. And we need to connect with each other. We need to build a bond. So we define power as the strength of relationship. If the group that is here now are connected with each other in a way that shares your core value, you know each other's stories, we are going to do this together. And then you have each other resources. Some of you are amazing speakers, other are very good advocate, other are good chefs, other are good singer, other are good at many, many other things. If you have the resources, you bring your resources together, have the common interest, watch out. You will be able to move mountains. You will be able to change laws. You will be able to get the change you want. That's what power means. Power is not just about money or who you are, whether you're elected or not. It's about the strength of your relationship. Okay. This is probably the most important slide. And then how do we track down the power? We talked about who has the power, what is their interest, their vulnerability, what resources do you have, and how do we leverage those resources? In the case of Shaheen's group, you saw the vulnerability of the people. You knew that the mayor could be defeated. What resources? You had strength in number. You're willing to stand there. You love your forest, right? You knew how to build. You're willing to hold up signs for a long time. You were tireless. Those are things that you want to do. So when we do a breakout group, which we will soon do, I want you to go into your group to answer these questions. Oh, I'm sorry. What is your goal? It could be the mountaintop goal. Remember the goal that we have that we reached out here? Okay, in this case, there were a lot of different goals. What are your first goal, second, third mountaintop goal? Define those goals. Okay. After you do that, then you think about who has the power to make that decision, to make the change you want. Okay. What is their vulnerability? What's their interests? In the case of the teenager, want to have good girlfriends. Well, your goal, clean room, right? What resources do we have? Think creatively and list the resource you have. Then the question is, how do you leverage those resources? What is our strategy? What is your theory of change? If we have this strategy, we will get this goal. Is the assumption correct? Okay. A lot of tough work ahead. Define the goals, track down the power, come up with a theory of change. Oh, within the next hour. Okay, I've talked too much. Questions. I need you to ask me some questions. Is there, are we, you folks really got the theory of change, I think. Justin, you are giving me that quizzical look. Are we good with where we're going? Yeah, you think we know where, yeah, are we clear? Justin, are you there? Yes?
I think you're talking to me. I wasn't giving you any look. I don't know, but I'm good.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Olivia, I have one. It's just a comment actually, but because sometimes we are lighting those fires, right? But I think that also other communities ready to receive those fires, right? Like, and if they're not, what do you do, right? Like, so do you re-strategize and say, am I at the right place? Do I need to go to a different community?
Strategy is not static. Okay. There's 5 things about strategy. You strategize, have a theory of change, you take action, evaluate, and then plan again. Because it's not the theory of change. It may not be correct. You need to know how to evaluate and pivot. Okay, number 1. Number 2, you have to be motivated, right? That's where the heart comes from. That goes without saying. So strategy is motivated. Number 3, strategy has nested goals and mountaintop goals. You saw that. It's not, we leap up to the mountain just like that. No, we take a step at a time. Every time we get a nested goal in, we evaluate and plan again, right? That's the 3rd piece, right? Nested goals, evaluate, has to be motivated. The 4th one is you have to look at your context. The general, you, the leader, are up in the mountaintop looking around. Okay, where's my enemy coming from? The far right is going after people that are alienated. They're building strength. My troops are down here. What are my troops telling me? Okay, You are listening to what people are saying to you on the ground. You're deploying your people. They're in the forest. You, however, needs to be on top to look at the context, to say, in this context, we have these allies here. This is the movement. The wind is blowing this way. Okay, we are moving that way because we want to get ahead. I'm taking that river. I'm going down river because that's where I want to get ahead. I'm not going to go backwards against the current. Can someone mute someone? Poor baby crying. So you need to look at the context. Where is the current going? And you get ahead of the current. Okay, so a general look at the context. Okay, those are some of the key areas: nested goals, motivation, plan, evaluate, take action, and you look at context. And one thing really important, which we will do next week, is you do a power analysis. It's called spectrum of allies. Who are your allies? List them. Do these allies have power? Who's neutral? Do they have power? So far, these neutral people that have power, we need them on our side. That will govern our tactics. Okay, so you are slightly ahead of me. I am going to get to where you're going, because once you have the theory of change, clear idea of whether you're taking the river or the hiking, then we will look at our allies. Who are they? Who are our opponents? Analyze their strength, analyze whether they have power or not. Then next week we're going to come up with tactics. Okay, is that clear? Thank you for asking that question. It's almost as if I lined it up. My God, I was about to talk about that. You bang on, came right on. Great question. More. Anyone? Because this is important to understand, and you folks are just getting it. Okay, you're getting ahead of it. Anyone else that are Katie, for example, second halfers, you might have a different goal, or any questions you may have. Have I lost people? Because yeah.
I don't have
Oh, there
any.
you are.
I don't have any specific questions. I think that I need to go through it in practice. I think they'll come up in the session.
Okay, in the breakout group, eh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up and give you lots of time for take a break. And when we come back, let's just knuckle down and get that and start working on it. All right, the goals, the power, and the theory of change. Go for it. I'm excited to see what you come up with. Okay, Amrit, what time do we come back at?
We come back at 7.
7, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go get some water. All right, see you quite soon. Looks like everybody. Oh, okay. Looks like everybody's back. So you have 2 or 3 minutes to present the theory of change from your group. And then we're all going to chime in and say, oh, that's a great theory of change. What about this? What about that? Okay, we're going to all coach together. More brains, better than just one. Okay. Which group wants to go first? Dawn said, okay, Dawn, you have Miriam. Miriam is going to do the presentation. We are ready for you.
Am I going to share the screen? Or are you
Sure,
the screen?
or Emma can share the screen, or I could. Up to you.
It's probably better if one of you guys share the screen.
Okay. Emma, do you want to do that? Or Lindsay? Lindsay, thank you, Lindsay.
Happy to.
Thank you.
Whoa, that's wow. That's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
So are we just presenting the theory of change slide, the next slide?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Great.
Okay, perfect. So our theory of change is increasing the topic was increasing safety at night for women, particularly in Northern Ontario, in the particular city. So our theory of change is if we incentivize police to support this project and reduce crime, partnering with the tech company would be massive to get them to support this project, and Missing Women's Indigenous Women's Group, I think it is. We are also offering to help the municipality with some of this work. So we're buying into our project, they'll get a lot of help from us and assist in finding grants and funding to assist with the project. Then, if we're able to do that, we will increase safety, this is our goal, for women drivers on the road by 10% in the pilot city in 2 years. So that's our measurable goal. Because if we do this, we will focus attention on the issue, increase telecommunications, and tell those committing crimes that they are being watched. And by also putting that attention out there, I'm just going to add this little piece in myself is that, you know, biggest thing that I'm hearing as we're learning all this is the unison of voice. We need that strength in numbers. So when the community starts hearing that this project is being lobbied for and to get this program off the ground, the more support we get from the community members, you know, the more strength we have in lobbying and getting this pilot off the ground. So I'm just going to invite my group members as well, Anna or anyone else, if there's anything else you want to add to this. You good?
We wanted Anna to present, but then she dropped off the group section, so we couldn't.
I'm in here.
Oh, you are great, Anna.
Yeah, my audio is a bit better. So
oh, great.
This was and thank you to the group for basically caring for my idea. But I actually did try this, and I was unsuccessful in real life. It wasn't in Thunder Bay; it was in another city, and I will not name it. But I reached out to the mayor's office several times. And my focus was actually on Indigenous women, but also on like newcomers, because this is how a lot of the human trafficking, this is like an avenue for human trafficking, especially even if it's a car that breaks down with like four or five people in it, and especially if they're females. And so what happened is, I can share a little bit of my, I guess I was dissuaded from continuing onwards because I was advised that not enough people complained about it. But I know with my friends group, even like the ones like we have kids, you know, we take our kids somewhere, it's 4:30, it's already dark. It's not just humans, it's also moose, you know, wolf on the road. This is like very common occurrence. And they didn't, I guess there was not any collective efforts to move this forward. So it was just me and myself and I. So
yeah, and Anna, that's why I mentioned that piece at the end, because that resonated with me when you mentioned that you know, hopefully if we get enough strength, at least even get it off the ground, then the more it's out there, that community support will hopefully increase and you know, and it'll get stronger. Yeah.
And the other thing is too, and I think you already mentioned it, but I might have missed it because my audio is not great, is that I feel like with a lot of this, you have to position it if it's possible, not just for their interest, but for like a business interest. So I used to sit on a victim services board with a police agency. And one of the incentives I kept, you know, hearing about again is with our KPIs, like our key performance indicators, like, hey, is this going to improve our service levels? Are we going to receive less calls? Can we partner with an agency? You know, can we acknowledge them somehow that they do some like nonprofit or some in-kind services for us? It's a corporate, like other corporations, like tech corporations, you know, which we mentioned. And that way that's how the partnership will be built. But it's honestly like the police's incentive sometimes is, you know, am I going to focus on the, you know, the murders and the rapes and the other drug related crimes up in the north versus this? And they would rather partner with an agency. So I found that the business positioning was important in terms of getting traction. Thank you.
And one of the issues as well too was that there's not enough cell towers. So if people's cars break down, there's not enough service for them to call for help.
I don't know if I'm being heard right now, but like the scaling is, although difficult, like that partnering opportunity can definitely help a lot of the cost unawareness that occurs with these kinds of attempts, which should be done to help out the societal gains that become equitable.
Here you go, Olivia.
Clarify one thing, and Felicia, just stop me if I go over the 2 minutes, because we only have 5 minutes per group. So what I'm hearing is I'm not clear the goal. So this is, you want a tech company to provide women with the technology if they get in trouble, that they would be able to ask for help so that they will not so that they would not fall prey to people. Am I right?
Part of the project is more towers along the highway, so there's more service.
Telecom company needs to be shamed so that there is a good. Okay. Can I ask who has the power to make that change? Why would telecom company do that willingly unless the local municipality said, or the federal government through CRTC said, you must do that? I'm just pushing you to say who actually has the power to do it. Akib has your hand up.
Oh, Akib?
Akib, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to, just because I was the one who interrupted, and so I can definitely see the solution on it. The federal government is already willing to the point where they partnered with another billionaire who has the capital for it, or at least that branding can totally be substitutable right now. So I believe that the scaling is appropriately fundable, but they need to keep pushing forward with like resolving the missing Indigenous women and girls report, because that kind of call to action is still associable. You know, so it's all these reports to get safer women's locatabilities of their own.
Got it. So you need to say it's not just
anonymizable. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I think you need to be clear that you are pushing the federal government and the tech company to deliver what they say they will do by a certain date. You know, then you get, so be clearer on what is your goal. And if not, it'll drag for 4 more years, right? To say in this part of the highway, and we know we need to name precisely which part of the highway this has happened. This is why it needs to happen, right? So be clear on that. I know we ran out of time, Felicia said. Okay, so I just want to encourage you to nail down precisely who has the power to make the difference. Great. Thank you, Dawn. Good work. Good work. Very important work. Yeah, it's tough. So next team. Who is the next team?
You can go next, Felicia. So Nina, yeah, Nina's going to present for us.
Okay, do you want to share the screen? Which slide is it?
It's already done. It's right. It's ready to go.
Okay, perfect.
We talked about our goal being to end or reduce gender-based violence. So our statement would be, if we leverage our listed allies, our allies would be politicians, lawyers, teachers, influencers, imams, male allies. Using our strengths and powers, then we will upset the status quo and make GBV a thing of the past, because we remind our allies, our families, friends, and communities that they have the power to change the future for all women and their families.
Mm-hmm. Anyone wants to do some coaching? Nina.
Okay.
Okay. Jump in, Nina. Ask questions.
Well, that was my group. I was part of that group, and I guess we're not making ourselves clear enough. We were talking about ending and reducing GBV, and we're trying to figure out who has the power and to get them alongside to upset, the apple cart and change things and make GBV a thing of the past. And that will hopefully improve the future for everyone in society.
How do you know it's successful?
Because the numbers of women facing gender-based violence will reduce. The number of women seeking help from shelters will go down.
Do you want to say 5%, 10%, or how are you going to track? Are you thinking of in Ontario, in BC, across Canada?
I think we would do this across Canada if possible with our partners, our chapters across the country.
Okay.
What do you think, Olivia? Like, when you start out with something like this, do you say, 5% is still, it's still good, it's big.
Well, do you think my husband just beat me up? I ran away because I was getting desperate and I was getting dangerous. What role would I play in helping to upset the status quo because I dare to speak out? And will I speak out?
Right.
If I am, what percentage of the 100 women, or let's say 10 Muslim women that have been that suffered?
So we're not asking those women that are the victims. We're asking the people in power, the people that can change things, that if they choose to get alongside.
Why would they do that?
Because, for instance, we looked at politicians and they want to be reelected. They don't want to lose their power.
But I'll say all these things. I take gender-based violence very seriously. And look at all the funding we provide to Status of Women to provide support and blah, 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 blah. Look at all the training we provide to our CMP officers to do blah, 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 blah. Yada, 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 yada.
And yet it still continues and it's getting worse. It seems during the pandemic, we saw the numbers climb.
Yeah. That's why I'm pushing you to say, why would people that have power want to do anything?
Well, they want to maintain the power. They want to stay, relevant. They want to be on the right side of history.
Really?
Is it 2 rose-colored glasses? I don't know.
I don't know. Chime in, folks. Give the team a hand. What do you think? Remember the second character approach. Who was it that said that the teenage son not willingly?
That was Arshia.
Asha, okay.
Arshia, she has her hand up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you think?
I honestly, I was grappling with this because we were, as a group, we were grappling with this, and then I was asked very last minute to present. So I was like, oh my God, how am I going to tie this together? So Nina is laughing because she probably had the same situation.
Yes.
So here's what I was thinking. So we were looking at GBV as well as Islamophobia, and we were just grappling with which one to choose. But anyways, one of the things that I was thinking was that, we have a looming recession and we have a situation with healthcare crisis. So gender-based violence can cause loss of productivity, and the Ministry of Labor would have a huge impact if we don't really address the gender-based violence in terms of loss of productivity, labor force issues, etc. The other piece I was thinking about was gender-based violence and its ties to mental health and issues with the increased spending related to mental health, and also impact on law and justice and the incarcerations, etc. So there are lots of incentives for people that are thinking long term in terms of our health of our society to have like Ministry of Labor, healthcare crisis, and spending to be able to do this. But at the same time, people have short-term memories and they're thinking, you know, one political election cycle to another election cycle. So as Nina said, maybe it should be an election, the stats should be collected and it should be part of the political agenda for elections.
I know the time is up for this group. We'll move on to the second group. I do want to point out something that's happening in the chat. Dawn said Indigenous women experience violence 5 times the rate of non-Indigenous women. And I think in terms of Muslim women, your rate will be higher than white woman, for example, right? So I'm not saying there's a hierarchy, but there is absolutely clear stats that which group are at the more at risk. I do want to leave you with one thought. Power are never given. People that have power do not give out their power. It doesn't happen that way. You have to go and get it. You have to seize it. And it is difficult because of cultural shame that we put in gender-based violence. And until we help each other, until we speak out to say, I am not a victim. I am a survivor. I am strong. I'm powerful. It's time that I take power. It's time that I am advocating for myself. That how dare you allow this system to continue? It's tough, it's hard, but it has to be done. That the people that have the least voice needs to find it the most. The hardest for them to do, but we are there together to support those women. So I want to put that out there as a possibility for you to explore, that perhaps it's not that impossible to have people that have gone through that experience to say, I'm now strong enough. Don't you dare ever again. Okay. And show the strength to other women. I want to leave that for you as a thought. Okay. I should not have done that, but hey, you get all of me. So, Lindsay, your group. And then Emirates group. We don't have a lot of time. Okay, let's go. Lindsay.
Arshia.
Yeah, hey, so I'm back. Lindsay's group. So we actually did talk about, we were going back and forth, either we focusing on Islamophobia or gender-based violence, but we thought we would take the strategy of recruiting youth as well as survivors. We did talk about survivors of gender-based violence as an important group to talk about their personal experiences, etc., and bring them together in a safe space to connect, learn, and share. And we talked about sharing their stories and experience about, like you were just mentioning, Olivia, as an important platform, burning platform for change, to motivate the imams and the mosques to have those larger conversations with and create those safer communities. Again, this is important because youth will be able to because the youth are our tomorrow, and the link to imams is and the mosques and the call for action is these are the youth for tomorrow. This is what the Muslims will be represented in the future of the society. So let's push for that change and create a change within the community. So that was one thing we struggled, we grappled with it a lot. I'm going to stop here, and it is a righteous cause for the mosques at least to get involved, but I'm going to just stop here and let my group fill in. We did go and had a lot of circular conversation on this. So
well done. Because it's 7:58, I'm wondering whether we could get Emirates group. Yeah, this is excellent. Good work. Emirates, your group.
Yeah, we have Shaheen. I think it's Ashraf who's going to be presenting. I just don't know where you are on the screen.
I'm here.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
I was voluntold
Yeah.
to present, because I presented from my group last week too, but that's another story. So our goal was to get Bill C-20 passed, okay? And our strategy was that we would put pressure on our local MPs and our Minister of Public Safety to take the Bill C-20 to the next reading. And show what the negative implications would be if Bill C-20 was not passed. And we were supposed to connect this issue via testimonials, petitions, storytelling, include stats and testimonials of from the CBSA horror stories, to sensitize the MPs that this is a human connection. This is you know, a human rights issue. So and then the MPs and ministers, because they want to keep that position, because they want to show us that they would respect our voting powers and take the lead on this issue, and of course because they care about their public image. So this was our group's focus.
Well done. Well done. Shaheen, you know how to flex muscles. Okay. Your group know how to flex muscles. Okay. What's the key learning for this last 2 hours? Thank you, Katie, for hopping off. Key learnings, put it in chat. Open up your mic. Go for it. What did you find today? Was it helpful? Thank you all for sharing. Sakina, developing awareness. Okay. Yeah. What did you learn that was most important? Samara said, be clear about your goals. Okay. Yeah. Yep. What else? Anything else? Kelly said, be specific. Knowledge does not lead to action. Yes, strategies are key, strategizing. Kelly, what do you mean by being specific? Expand on that. Oh, it's also strategizing your words. Yes.
Absolutely. So being specific about your goals and your actions, not just a generalized, I want to do this. Tell me how you're going to do it, what you want to do, how are we going to get there? And it really makes you think, because when you jumped in on our group, you kept pushing us and kept asking, well, what do you mean by that? So you didn't take just the generalized statement. You want it in detail.
Yep. Measurable. Igniting people to act, small wins and reorganize. Yes, and celebrate them. Don't rush. Take your time to clarify your goal, who you want to organize, who is vulnerable. Absolutely. Understanding their vulnerability, very important. Okay. Shaheen said, use a real person in a story to promote awareness to rally support. Oh, amazing. You folks are just amazing. What worked tonight? What is the rosebud thorn in terms of our teaching? Did the small group work? Probably Olivia could talk less. Yes. What worked and what didn't work? Question for Olivia. Why is assumption important? Because if the assumption is wrong, then your entire strategy, that guy was stalking. It was not romantic and sweet, but that was the wrong assumption on his part. Well, if you have wrong assumption, you can get arrested. So that's why assumption is really important, that you have to be very correct in your assumption. You love to break out discussion. Yeah. Okay. What could we improve next week? What can we do better this week, next week? Yeah. Any suggestions? But Can we do better? Anything? Don't go over. We're 3 minutes over, sorry. Anything? What? Open up your mic. Oh. Dissect the scenario. Okay. Jackie said, I would love more time. Yeah. We want 3 hours instead of 2, but it's getting dark out there. Increase report time. So where should we cut then? We could do that. We could increase, should we cut but if we need to show example, then we need to get the concept right. And then we need to have enough time for breakout group, and we could think about increasing report time. Okay. Anything else? Identify the presenter early on. Okay, good idea. At the beginning, the facilitator say, okay, who's presenting? Rather than at the end say who is presenting. Okay. Pressure of time makes us think faster. Why we look into eradication, but we can focus on reduction. Okay, yeah, maybe we can reduce some of the concept because we probably jammed too many concepts into too short a time. Okay. I'll remember to do it at the beginning of the breakout. Okay, Lindsay. Yeah, we'll all do that at the beginning. Yes. We leave at the end. I should remind people. A phone number has the hands up. Go for it. Last word to you. No? 647-398-8242. Yep. Okay, we don't know. All right.
Hello? Hi.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was me. I was talking through my phone earlier as well. Sorry, and I kept muting myself. The conversation that's occurring these days around protests, I think that we should also take some time to reflect on that, since now there's more relevancy directed towards Muslim women, which and non-binaries, which are important to emphasize on that. I think, I guess if we had the time to at least reflect on it, I don't know if that would take too much time though. I understand the sectioning, but there's such a diaspora concentration into this group. I'm so curious about what the perceptions are of these things, I wouldn't want it to be unheard if we're having these kinds of discussions about advocacy or at least the thoughts about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Would anybody want to speak on it?
Yeah, I wish we have 8 sessions instead of 6. I wish we have 3 hours instead of 2. We'll discuss with the council more, and not so sure about extending 8:30 is pretty late. We'll talk about that and maybe get a straw vote next week. Okay. And we'll come back to you. We are 6 minutes over. Yeah, cannot sit for too long. Okay, 2 hours is really intense. Think fast. Thank you, everybody. We will see each other next week. Thank you for your participation. Next session, please read, if you can scroll down, Emret, please read the tactics page, page 71, 78. And come prepared with ideas. No ideas are impossible. Just put it out there and then we can narrow it down. Okay, do the blue skying. More brains, the better. It's going to be a lot of fun next week for us to come up with most creative and most effective tactics. Okay, just watch out. Thank you, everybody. Good night. And to all the facilitators, to all of you that join us. Thank you for participating. It's been a fabulous evening. So I'm all energetic. Good night, all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
So good to see you all.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.